Jiho hit the training mat for the third time that morning. His body ached everywhere. Sweat dripped into his eyes as he struggled to stand up. Around him, the other trainees barely looked tired. Again, Instructor Vree said. The massive Vraxian stood with his forearms crossed. His exoskeleton gleamed under the station lights. If you cannot handle basic combat, human, perhaps you should return to your soft planet. Some of the other trainees laughed. Kalon, a young Vraxian with blue markings on his shell, laughed the loudest. The human moves like a broken machine, he said. Why did they even accept him here? Jiho said nothing. He got back into fighting stance. His instructor nodded at a Kelhari trainee, a species with 4 arms and incredible speed. The Kelhari moved so fast that Jiho barely saw her coming. One moment she was across the mat. The next moment Jiho was on his back again, gasping for air. Pathetic, Vree said. Combat training is finished. Jiho, you will report to biodome maintenance. The rest of you proceed to advanced tactics. The other trainees filed out, chatting and joking. A few looked at Jiho with pity. Most just ignored him. Kalon made sure to bump into Jiho's shoulder as he passed. Try not to break anything, weak one, he said with a grin. Jiho gathered his things slowly. Every muscle hurt. This was his 3rd month at Harmony 7, the Coalition's best training station. Every day was the same. He failed at physical tests. He struggled in combat. He heard the whispers. Why is a human here? They are too weak, too slow, too fragile. He walked through the station's bright corridors. Other species passed him without a second glance. Towering Vraxians, graceful Kelhari, floating Orinths with their telepathic abilities. They all belonged here. Jiho felt like he did not. The medical bay was on his way. Jiho stopped there like he did most days. Hana was inside organizing supplies. She was one of only 3 humans on the entire station. She looked up when he entered and sighed. Again? She asked. Again, Jiho confirmed. Hana scanned him with a medical device. No broken bones this time. That is an improvement. She handed him a pain relief patch. Jiho, why do you keep doing this? You know humans were not built for direct combat with these species. We evolved differently. I know, Jiho said quietly. He pressed the patch to his shoulder. The pain slowly faded, but I passed the entrance exams. I earned my place here. Did you? Hana asked. She was not being mean. Her voice was gentle. Or did they accept a few humans to look diverse? To say they gave us a chance? She shook her head. I have been here 2 years, trust me. Humans must work twice as hard to earn half the respect. Jiho did not know what to say to that. Maybe she was right. Maybe he did not belong. He left the medical bay and headed to the biodome section. This was the part of the station where they kept samples from different worlds. Plants, small creatures, ecosystem studies. It was important work, but it was not what Jiho came here to do. He wanted to explore space. He wanted to be part of first contact teams. He wanted to matter. Instead, he cleaned air filters and checked temperature controls. The biodome was beautiful, at least. Huge glass sections showed different environments. Jungle habitats, ocean tanks, desert zones. Jiho walked past them all to reach Sector 7. This was the high-security area. The dangerous specimens were kept here. He checked his assignment pad. Replace air filters in Corridor C. Simple work. He got his tools and started. As he worked, Jiho noticed something odd. The containment field near the end of the corridor was flickering. Just slightly, but it was definitely flickering. He moved closer to check. The control panel showed some strange readings. Jiho frowned. This was not normal. He checked his knowledge of the system. If the field was unstable, it could fail. And in Sector 7, that would be very bad. He reported it immediately. His message went to the security office. 10 minutes later, a Vraxian security officer arrived. He looked annoyed. What is the problem, human? Jiho showed him the readings. The containment field is unstable. See these numbers? They should not fluctuate like this. The officer barely looked. The system shows green status. No alarms are triggered. But the readings, are you a security expert now? The officer cut him off. Or are you maintenance? He did not wait for an answer. Finish your assigned work. Stop wasting our time with your paranoia. The officer left. Jiho stood there, staring at the flickering field. He knew something was wrong. But who would listen to him? He was just the weak human who failed at everything else. He finished his work and filed another report. This time he added more details. He explained exactly what was wrong and what could happen if it failed. He marked it urgent. No one responded. That evening, Jiho sat in the small human quarters. Hana was there too, reading on her tablet. The third human, an older engineer named Minho, was off station for the week. How was maintenance? Hana asked. Fine, Jiho said. He did not mention the containment field. What was the point? They ate a quiet dinner together. Jiho tried to study for the next day's tests, but he was too tired. His body still ached from training. His confidence was broken from another day of failure. He went to sleep early. The alarms woke him at 3 a.m. station time. Loud, blaring emergency alarms. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Jiho jumped out of bed, his heart racing. Hana burst out of her room at the same time. What is happening? She shouted over the noise. Jiho checked his pad. His blood went cold. Containment breach. Sector 7. The station intercom crackled to life. Instructor Vree's voice came through, tense and urgent. All personnel, this is not a drill. We have a critical containment failure in Biodome Sector 7. Something has escaped. All trainees and non-essential personnel report to safe zones immediately. Security teams to Sector 7, I repeat, this is not a drill. Hana grabbed Jiho's arm. What escaped? What was in Sector 7? Jiho pulled up the records on his pad. When he saw the answer, his hands started shaking. A Vorathan, he whispered. They had a Vorathan juvenile in containment. Hana's face went pale. Everyone knew about Vorathans. Apex predators from a death world. Intelligent pack hunters that could tear through starship hull. Even the juveniles were deadly. We need to get to a safe zone, Hana said. Now. But Jiho was looking at the station schematics. The Vorathan's tracking signal was moving. It was heading toward the engineering section. Toward the critical systems. He had reported the failing containment. No one listened. Now something deadly was loose on the station, and Jiho knew it was heading somewhere that could kill them all. The alarms kept blaring. Jiho made a decision. Maybe he was weak. Maybe he failed at combat, but he understood systems. He understood this station, and right now that might be the only thing that could save everyone. The station shook. Somewhere below them, something metal screamed and tore. Hana pulled Jiho toward the safe zone, but he resisted. We have to go, Hana said. Jiho, please. Look at the tracking data. Jiho showed her his pad. The Vorathan is heading to the main engineering bay. If it damages the coolant lines there, the whole station's reactor system could fail. Then let security handle it, Hana said, but her voice was uncertain. Jiho checked security team positions on the station map. They are spread out searching near the biodome. They think it is hiding there, but it is not. It is moving with purpose. Another alert flashed on his pad. 3 security officers down. Status: critical. It is killing them, Hana whispered. Jiho, you cannot go there. You barely survived training today. Jiho looked at her. Someone has to reroute the coolant systems manually before it reaches them. I am the only one who knows that section well enough. I did maintenance there last week. Then tell someone else. Send them. Who? Jiho asked. Who would listen to the weak human right now? By the time I convinced them, it would be too late. Hana's eyes filled with tears, but she nodded. She knew he was right. You are very stupid, she said. Be careful. Jiho grabbed a maintenance kit and ran toward the engineering section. The corridors were empty. Everyone else was evacuating to safe zones or hunting near the biodome. Good. He did not want to explain himself. The engineering bay was dark. Emergency lighting cast red shadows everywhere. Jiho heard the coolant systems humming. Everything still worked. He moved quickly to the manual control panel. His hands flew over the controls. Reroute primary coolant to backup systems. Engage emergency locks on critical pipelines. If the Vorathan damaged the main lines now, the backup systems would hold. The station would survive. A sound made him freeze. Breathing. Heavy, rasping breathing. Jiho turned slowly. At first he saw nothing. Then the air shimmered and something uncloaked. The Vorathan stood 10 meters away. It was massive even for a juvenile. Black scales covered its body like armor. 6 eyes glowed in the dark, watching him. Its mouth held teeth designed to tear through metal and bone. 4 legs, each with claws that could gut him in one swipe. Jiho could not move. He could not breathe. This was death. This was an apex predator and he was prey, but the Vorathon did not attack. It took a limping step forward, then another. Jiho saw it then. The creature's back leg was crushed under a fallen support beam. Blood, dark and thick, pooled beneath it. The Vorathon had brought the beam down on itself somehow, probably trying to move through the tight maintenance corridor. The creature was trapped, in pain, scared. Jiho's hand went to his tool belt. There was an emergency plasma cutter there. It could cut through the beam. It could also be used as a weapon. He could hurt this thing, maybe drive it away, maybe kill it while it was vulnerable. Everyone would call him a hero. The weak human who killed the monster. The Vorathon snarled, not at him, at the beam. It tried to pull free and roared in pain. The sound was awful, raw, desperate. Jiho made his choice. He slowly raised his hands, showing he was not a threat. "Okay," he said softly. "Okay. I see you. You are hurt." The Vorathon's 6 eyes fixed on him. Its body tensed. "I am not going to hurt you," Jiho continued in a calm voice. He had no idea if it understood. But tone mattered with animals, right? Even alien animals? "I am going to help. Stay still." He moved very slowly toward the beam. The Vorathon watched his every step. When he got close, it bared its teeth and hissed. A warning. "I know," Jiho said. "I know it hurts. But I need to free your leg." He activated the plasma cutter. The bright light made the Vorathon flinch, but it did not attack. Jiho carefully positioned the cutter against the beam far from the creature's leg. "This will be loud," he warned. He cut through the beam. Sparks flew. The metal screamed. The Vorathon whined but stayed still. Finally, the beam split and fell away. The creature's leg was free, but it was badly injured. Jiho could see the torn scales and the bleeding. The Vorathon tried to stand and collapsed. "Wait," Jiho said. He pulled off his uniform shirt. It was the only clean cloth he had. Moving slowly, telegraphing every movement, he approached the wounded leg. The Vorathon could kill him now. One swipe, one bite. But it just watched. Jiho wrapped his shirt around the worst of the bleeding. He tied it tight, but not too tight. "This will help," he said. "Until you get real medical care." He stepped back. His heart was pounding. He was shirtless in the cold engineering bay, having just bandaged an apex predator with his uniform. This was insane. The Vorathon stared at him. Then it made a sound, not a snarl or a roar. Something different, deep and rumbling, almost like a purr. Before Jiho could process what that meant, the bay doors burst open. Security teams flooded in, weapons raised. "Step away from the creature," Instructor Vree shouted. Jiho raised his hands and moved aside. But the Vorathon did not stay where it was. Despite its injured leg, it lunged forward. Not at Jiho, at the security team. No, not at them. Between them and Jiho, the creature positioned itself like a shield, blocking the armed soldiers from reaching Jiho. It snarled at them, teeth bared, but it kept looking back at Jiho with those 6 eyes. "Hold fire," a new voice said. Director Yuna appeared behind the security team. She was human, middle-aged, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. She looked at the scene carefully. The wounded Vorathon, the makeshift bandage, Jiho standing there shirtless and unarmed. "Stand down," she ordered the security team. "All of you lower your weapons." "Director, that creature is dangerous," Vree protested. "Then why is it protecting him instead of eating him?" Yuna asked. She pulled out a tablet and quickly reviewed something. "I have been watching the security footage. I saw everything." She looked at Jiho. "You freed it. You helped it." "It was hurt," Jiho said simply. Vree made a disgusted sound. "This is foolishness. The creature is dangerous. It killed 3 of my officers." "It was scared and in pain," Yuna said. "Injured animals are always dangerous, but look at it now." The Vorathon was still tense, still protective, but it was not attacking. It kept its body between the armed soldiers and Jiho, but it was not advancing. Yuna smiled slightly. Do you know anything about Vorathons, Instructor Vree? They are apex predators. Killers. They are pack-bonding apex predators, Yuna corrected. With intelligence that rivals humans. Their social structure is complex. They choose their pack based on trust. She gestured at the Vorathon. This juvenile just chose its pack. That is impossible, Vree said. It is an animal. No, Yuna said. It is a highly intelligent creature that recognizes when someone shows it compassion instead of violence. She looked at Jiho. What is your name again? Jiho, Director. Well, Jiho, you have done something unprecedented. A Vorathon has claimed you as pack. This creature will not leave you now. It will protect you, follow you, bond with you. She paused. The question is, what do we do about it? Destroy the creature and send the human home, Vree said immediately. This is a military training station, not a zoo. Or, Yuna said, we see this as an opportunity to learn, to understand. She walked closer, slowly. The Vorathon watched her but did not move from its protective position. Jiho, Yuna said. Can you calm it? Tell it we are not a threat? Jiho had no idea if that would work, but he tried. He spoke softly to the Vorathon, the same calm tone he used before. It is okay. They will not hurt you now. You are safe. The creature's tension eased slightly. It stopped snarling. Yuna nodded. Remarkable. Take them both to the medical bay. Treat the creature's injuries. Jiho, you are confined to quarters until we decide what to do. As the security team carefully guided them out, Jiho walked beside the limping Vorathon. The creature stayed close to him, occasionally bumping its head against his shoulder. That rumbling purr sound came again. Jiho realized something. For the first time since arriving at Harmony 7, he did not feel alone. Jiho woke up in the medical bay. Bright lights hurt his eyes. Hana stood nearby, checking a monitor. When she saw he was awake, she smiled with relief. You are incredibly lucky, she said, and incredibly stupid. Did I dream it? Jiho asked. His voice was rough. The part where you befriended a Death World apex predator. No, that actually happened. Hana helped him sit up. You have been unconscious for 6 hours. Exhaustion and shock, the doctor said. Where is it? Jiho asked immediately. The Vorathon? In the biodome. Special containment area. Hana's expression changed. Jiho, it refused to eat. It refused to let anyone treat its injuries properly. It just kept trying to break out of containment. I need to see it. That is what Director Yuna said you would say. She is waiting outside. She wants to talk to you. Director Yuna entered a moment later. She carried a tablet and looked tired. How do you feel? She asked Jiho. Fine, I want to see the Vorathon. Direct, I like that. Yuna sat down. Before we go there, you need to understand what happened. That creature has been in isolation since we brought it here. It has rejected every form of interaction except with you. She pulled up footage on her tablet. Jiho watched as handlers tried to feed the Vorathon. It ignored the food. When they tried to treat its leg, it snapped at them. Not to hurt, but to drive them away. Now watch this, Yuna said. The footage switched. Someone had placed a piece of Jiho's torn shirt near the Vorathon. The creature immediately moved to it. It sniffed the cloth, then curled around it protectively. The rumbling sound started again. That is pack-bonding behavior, a new voice said. A man entered the medical bay. He was human, older with gray hair and kind eyes. I am Dr. Siwu, he said. Xenobiology specialist. I have been studying Vorathons for 12 years. He sat down beside Yuna. What you did, Jiho, triggered something very specific in Vorathon social psychology. These creatures choose their pack through acts of trust in vulnerable moments. You found it wounded and trapped. It expected you to kill it. Instead, you freed it and treated its injury. I just helped it, Jiho said. Exactly. Dr. Siwu smiled. And that is not something most species would do. Praxians would have killed it immediately. Kelhari would have fled. Orinths would have tried telepathic control. He leaned forward. But you, a human, saw a creature in pain and chose compassion. The Vorathon recognized that. It chose you as pack. What does that mean? Jiho asked. It means that creature now considers you family. It will protect you, follow you, bond with you. Vorathons mate for life and pack bond permanently. Once chosen, the bond does not break. Yuna took over. This creates a problem. We cannot separate you. The Vorathan will not eat or allow treatment without you. But we also cannot keep a dangerous predator on the station with free access to personnel. It is not dangerous, Jiho protested. Not unless threatened. Tell that to the 3 security officers it killed, Yuna said, but her tone was gentle. I understand it was scared and in pain, but the Vraxian contingent wants it destroyed and you expelled from the program. Can they do that? Instructor Vri has filed a formal complaint. He claims you endangered the station by helping the creature instead of killing it. Kalan and several other Vraxian trainees have supported this claim. Jiho's heart sank. Of course they had. However, Yuna continued, I have also reviewed the full security footage. You reported the containment failure. Multiple times, you were ignored. When the breach happened, you took action to prevent catastrophic damage to the station. You saved lives by rerouting those coolant systems. She stood up. So I'm offering you a choice. We can send you home. Return the Vorathan to its homeworld. No one will blame you. Or, she paused, you can prove them wrong. How? The final examination is in 2 weeks. A survival scenario in our hostile environment simulator. Usually trainees do this individually. I am proposing you do it with the Vorathan. Dr. Siwu added, if you succeed, it proves that human-Vorathan cooperation is not only possible but effective. It validates your place in the program and gives us reason to keep the Vorathan here for further study. And if I fail? Jiho asked. Instructor Vri gets his way, Yuna said bluntly. You are expelled. The Vorathan is destroyed. Jiho did not hesitate. I will do it. Yuna nodded like she expected that answer. Then let us go see your partner. They walked to the biodome. A small crowd had gathered outside the special containment area. Jiho saw several trainees, including Kalen. They whispered and pointed when they saw him. Through the containment window, Jiho saw the Vorathan. It paced back and forth, favoring its injured leg. When it saw Jiho, it stopped. All 6 eyes fixed on him. It pressed against the transparent barrier and made that rumbling sound. It has been doing that for hours, Dr. Siwu said. Calling for you? Can I go in? Jiho asked, are you insane? Kalen said loudly. That thing will kill you, Yuna ignored him. Dr. Siwu? The scientist considered. With proper precautions. Medical team on standby. But yes, I believe it is safe. They opened a small entry port. Jiho stepped through. The Vorathan moved so fast that several people gasped. But it did not attack. It pressed its massive head against Jiho's chest, that purring rumble vibrating through his whole body. Jiho reached up slowly and touched its scales. They were warm and smooth. Hey, he said softly. I am sorry they kept us apart. The Vorathan made a different sound, almost like a chirp. It nuzzled against him. Remarkable, Dr. Siwu breathed. The bond is already strong. Over the next 2 weeks, Jiho spent every free moment with the Vorathan. He named it Kano after a word from Old Earth that meant strength. Dr. Siwu supervised their interactions and helped Jiho learn to communicate with Kano. The creature was intelligent, more intelligent than Jiho expected. It understood commands quickly, but more than that, it seemed to understand intent. When Jiho was tired, Kano would rest beside him. When Jiho was frustrated, Kano would bump him gently with its head. They trained together for the examination. Jiho taught Kano hand signals. Kano taught Jiho to trust his instincts. They developed a way of moving together, thinking together. You fight like a pack, Dr. Siwu observed one day. Not as separate entities, but as one unit. This is how Vorathans hunt in the wild. Hana visited often. She brought food and encouragement. The other trainees are talking, she told Jiho. Some are impressed. Others, like Kalen, are angry. They say you are cheating, that working with a creature is not fair. Is it cheating? Jiho asked. Vraxians have their exoskeletons. Kelhari have forearms. Why is working with Kano different? Because they did not think of it first, Hana said with a small smile. The night before the examination, Jiho could not sleep. He sat with Kano in the containment area. The creature rested its head on his lap, 6 eyes watching him. Tomorrow decides everything, Jiho said quietly. If we fail, they will take you from me. I cannot let that happen. Kano made a soft sound. One massive paw rested on Jiho's arm. Gentle. Careful. This creature could tear through starship hull, but it touched him like he was fragile. I know you are scared too. Jiho continued. Taken from your home. Kept in cages. I am sorry that happened to you. But maybe we can make it better. Together. Morning came too quickly. Yuna arrived early to brief them. The scenario is a crashed ship on an ice world. You must repair communications, signal for rescue, and survive enemy simulations. Time limit is 6 hours. Standard procedure. She paused. I should tell you. Instructor Vri oversees the simulation control room. He chose your scenario personally. Jiho understood. Vri would not make this easy. We are ready, he said. Kano growled agreement beside him. They entered the simulator together. The doors sealed behind them. Cold hit Jiho immediately. Ice and snow stretched in every direction. A crashed ship smoked in the distance. Jiho checked his equipment. Standard survival gear. Basic tools. No weapons. Beside him, Kano's scales shifted to match the white environment. Camouflage. Let us do this, Jiho said. They moved toward the ship. Jiho had no idea what waited for them, but he was not alone. He had Kano, and that changed everything. The ice wind cut through Jiho's suit. Each breath burned in his lungs. Snow crunched under his boots as he and Kano approached the crashed ship. The simulation was perfect. Too perfect. Jiho could actually feel himself getting colder. Outside the simulator, the other trainees watched on viewing screens. Kalan stood with his arms crossed. The human will freeze in an hour, he said confidently. This is a waste of time. Beside him, Hana clenched her fists but said nothing. Director Yuna and Dr. Siwoo watched silently from the control room. Inside the simulation, Jiho reached the crashed ship. The hull was torn open. Ice had formed inside. He climbed through carefully, Kano following close behind. Communications array is the priority, Jiho muttered to himself. He found the ship's main console. Smashed. Of course, Kano chirped softly. The creature pressed close to Jiho, sharing body heat. Jiho realized he was shivering badly already. Thank you, he said, leaning against Kano's warm scales. He worked on the console, trying to reroute power. His fingers were getting numb. This was bad. The cold was worse than he expected. A sound outside made Kano snarl. Through the torn hull, Jiho saw movement. Synthetic enemies designed to look like hostile creatures. Wolf-like things made of metal and code. 6 of them. Here we go, Jiho whispered. The creatures attacked. Kano met them head-on, moving with liquid grace despite the injured leg that was still healing. The Vorthan was a blur of scales and claws. 2 enemies went down immediately, but Jiho saw the pattern. More enemies were coming. Waves of them. This was not just about fighting. They could not fight forever. Kano to me, Jiho called. The Vorthan immediately retreated to Jiho's side. The enemies circled but did not attack. They were waiting for something. Jiho's mind raced. This was a survival scenario. Not just combat. He looked around the crashed ship. Exposed wiring, fuel cells, environmental controls. I have an idea, he said, but I need time. He set to work, his numb fingers struggling with the tools. He took fuel cells from the ship's damaged systems and wired them to environmental controls. Kano stood guard, growling at the circling enemies. Just a little more, Jiho muttered. An enemy lunged. Kano intercepted it, but more came from the other side. They were testing the defense, looking for weakness. Jiho finished the wiring. Kano, move. They both dove out of the crashed ship. Jiho triggered the device. The fuel cells overloaded, creating a massive heat explosion. The blast destroyed the wave of enemies and melted the ice around the ship, creating a temporary warm zone. Smart, Dr. Siwoo said in the control room, impressed. Lucky, Kalen corrected. Wait until the next phase. He was right. The simulation did not end. The temperature started dropping again. New enemies spawned in the distance, and Jiho's equipment registered a problem with his oxygen recycler. This is harder than standard exams, Hana said, looking at Yuna accusingly. Yuna's face was neutral, but her eyes were cold. Instructor Vri set the parameters. I am merely observing. Inside the simulator, Jiho was struggling. The cold was winning. His oxygen was failing. Enemies were coming. And Kano, despite being tougher than him, was also suffering. The creature's movements were slower in the extreme cold. We need to find shelter, Jiho said. Real shelter, not just a warm spot. He studied the terrain. There, a cave formation in the distance. Natural shelter. But between them and the cave was a frozen lake and more enemies. We have to cross the ice, Jiho said. Kano made an uncertain sound. The Vorthan was a predator, but ice was not its natural environment. Still, it trusted Jiho. They moved carefully across the frozen lake. Jiho tested each step. The ice groaned under Kano's weight but held. Halfway across, the enemies attacked from both sides. Of course, Jiho gasped. Kano fought while Jiho kept them moving. But the ice was cracking. One wrong move and they would plunge into freezing water. Then Jiho understood. Kano, stop fighting, run! They ran together across the cracking ice. The enemies followed. The ice broke under the combined weight. Enemies fell into the water, their systems failing instantly. Jiho and Kano barely made it to solid ground. Outside, several trainees looked impressed despite themselves. The human thinks tactically, one Kelhari admitted. He uses environment as a weapon. He is still failing, Kalen insisted. Look at his vitals. The human is hypothermic, it was true. Jiho was shaking violently now. His lips were blue. Each step was harder than the last. But they had reached the cave. Inside, out of the wind, Jiho collapsed. Kano curled around him immediately, trying to share warmth, but it was not enough. I need, Jiho gasped. Need to fix oxygen. Need fire. His hands would not work properly. He dropped his tools twice. Kano watched anxiously, making distressed sounds. I am okay, Jiho lied. Just cold. He finally managed to repair the oxygen recycler. That helped. But the cold was still killing him. He needed heat. Jiho looked at his remaining equipment. Emergency flare. It could provide light and heat, but only for a short time. He activated it. The warmth was incredible. Jiho held his hands over the flare, feeling returning to his fingers. Kano pressed close, also seeking warmth. We just need to last until the timer runs out, Jiho said. 3 more hours. Then his scanner started beeping. Warning. Major enemy wave approaching. Dozens of them. You have to be kidding, Jiho whispered. In the control room, Hana turned to Yuna. This is too much. You have to stop this. I cannot, Yuna said quietly. Instructor Vri is within his rights to set difficulty. And Jiho agreed to these terms. He is going to die, Hana said. He is going to fail, Kalen corrected with satisfaction. The weak human and his pet creature cannot handle real challenges. But Jiho was not dead yet. As the enemy wave approached, he made a decision. Kano, he said, we cannot fight them all, and we cannot run. So we changed the game. He took all his remaining equipment and started building. Kano watched, confused but trusting. Jiho created a trap. Using the cave's natural structure, his tools and the remaining flare, he built a bottleneck. Enemies could only enter one at a time. And when they did, they would trigger a collapse that would seal the cave entrance. We will be trapped inside, Jiho explained to Kano. But safe. We just need to survive until time runs out. The enemies came. Jiho triggered the collapse. Rock and ice fell, sealing them inside. The cave went dark except for the dying flare. They were trapped, cold, in the dark, but alive. Outside, the viewing screen showed nothing but the sealed cave. No movement, no signal. Time crawled by. Are they alive? Someone asked. Scanners show life signs, Dr. Siwu said. Both of them. But barely. Jiho is critically hypothermic. Then he failed, Kalen said. He cannot complete the objective trapped in a cave. But Yuna was looking at something on her tablet. Actually, the objective was to survive until rescue. He signaled before sealing the cave. The mission is technically complete. That is cheating, Kalen protested. That is creative problem-solving, Yuna corrected. Something we value in explorers. Inside the cave, Jiho was barely conscious. Kano curled tightly around him, sharing every bit of warmth the creature could provide. The Vorathan made soft sounds, almost like it was singing. Comforting Jiho, we did it, Jiho whispered. We survived. Kano chirped softly in response. The timer hit 0. The simulation ended. The ice and cave dissolved into the empty simulator room. Medical teams rushed in. He is hypothermic, Hana said, scanning Jiho immediately. But he will recover. They tried to separate Kano from Jiho to treat him. The Vorathan refused, snarling at anyone who came close. Let it stay, Yuna ordered. Treat them together. As medics worked, Yuna reviewed the full simulation data. Her expression grew dark. Instructor Vri, she said coldly into her communicator. Please come to my office now. In her office, Yuna pulled up the simulation logs. You increased the difficulty 3 times during the test. This was not the standard examination. Vri's expression was unreadable. I set appropriate challenges for a human working with a dangerous creature. If they could not handle it, they did not belong here. You sabotaged them, Yuna said flatly. I tested them, Vree corrected, and they failed. The human is barely alive, but he survived, Yuna said. Against odds you deliberately stacked against him. Despite your interference, he completed the objective. She stood up. I am recommending Jiho for the Deep Frontier expedition. His performance, even under sabotage, was exceptional. He showed creativity, courage, and tactical thinking beyond most of our graduates. You cannot be serious, Vree said. I am very serious. And you, Instructor Vree, will be investigated for exam tampering. Dismissed. Days later, Jiho woke in his quarters. Kano was there, resting beside his bed. Hana sat nearby, reading. Did we pass? Jiho asked, his voice rough. Hana smiled. You did more than pass. You impressed people. Even some of the Vraxians are talking about how you survived what should have killed you. What about Kano? Kano is approved to stay. As your partner. Hana's smile grew. And you are both assigned to the Deep Frontier expedition. You launch in 6 months. Jiho looked at Kano. The Vorathon's 6 eyes watched him calmly. We are going to the stars, Jiho said softly. Kano rumbled in contentment and rested its head on Jiho's chest. For the first time since coming to Harmony 7, Jiho felt like he belonged. 6 months passed quickly. Jiho trained hard for the Deep Frontier expedition. So did Kano. They learned to work together even better until they moved like one being instead of two. The ship was called Dawn's Herald. It was beautiful and huge, designed for long-range exploration. Jiho stood in the docking bay with Kano, watching the crew load supplies. His heart pounded with excitement and nervousness. First time in deep space? A voice asked. Jiho turned. A Vraxian female stood there. But unlike Instructor Vree or Kalon, she was smiling. I am Myra, she said. Engineer 3rd class. I saw your examination footage. Very impressive. Thank you, Jiho said, surprised. Not all Vraxians are like Vree, Myra said quietly. Some of us recognize talent regardless of species. She glanced at Kano. May I? At Jiho's nod, Myra approached slowly. Kano sniffed her carefully, then allowed her to touch its scales. Magnificent creature, Myra said with genuine respect. Over the next weeks of travel, Jiho found his place on the crew. Some still doubted him. A few Vraxians, friends of Kalon who had also been assigned to the expedition, made snide comments, but most of the crew judged him by his work, and Jiho was good at his work. Kano became a strange kind of ship mascot. The Vorathon was careful around the crew, never aggressive unless Jiho was threatened. Children of the crew loved to watch Kano through the observation window of the creature's habitat. The Vorathon would perform little tricks showing off for them. Your partner has become popular, Dr. Siwu said one day. He had also joined the expedition as the lead xenobiologist. The crew trusts Kano because Kano trusts you, and Kano trusts you because you earned it. 3 months into the journey, they discovered something unexpected. A habitable planet in an uncharted system. Early scans showed Earth-like atmosphere, water, and complex life. We have to investigate, Captain Davin said. He was an Orinth, calm and thoughtful. This is why we came out here. To find new worlds, the landing party was selected. Jiho and Kano were included, along with Dr. Siwu, Myra, 2 security officers, and a Kelhari pilot named Rin. As their shuttle descended through the atmosphere, the planet revealed itself. Forests, mountains, rivers. Beautiful. Getting strange readings, Rin said from the pilot seat. Biosignatures. Large ones. Very large. Define large, Dr. Siwu asked. Vorathon-sized, Rin said nervously. Beside Jiho, Kano suddenly became alert. The creature pressed against the shuttle window, making excited sounds Jiho had never heard before. They landed in a clearing near a forest. As soon as the doors opened, Kano leapt out. The Vorathon ran a short distance, then stopped and called out, a deep booming sound that echoed through the trees. That is a pack call, Dr. Siwu said, amazed. Jiho, this planet. It might be near Vorathon home territory. Before anyone could respond, the forest moved. Massive shapes emerged from the trees. Adult Vorathons. 3 of them. They were enormous. Easily twice Kano's size, with scales like black armor and eyes that gleamed with intelligence. Apex predators in their prime. The security officers raised weapons. Stay back, one said, his voice shaking. But the Vorathons were not looking at them. They were looking at Kano, The juvenile Vorathan called again. The adults approached slowly, carefully. One, slightly larger than the others and marked with silver around its eyes, stepped forward. This was the Alpha Kano, and the Alpha circled each other, sniffing, assessing. Then Kano did something that shocked everyone. The juvenile exposed its throat, a sign of submission and trust. The Alpha examined Kano carefully. It saw the old scar on Kano's leg, the injury from the station. It made a rumbling sound, almost like a question. Kano chirped in response and turned to Jiho. The juvenile ran back and pressed against Jiho's side. Then Kano vocalized again, a complex series of sounds. The Alpha's 6 eyes fixed on Jiho. The massive predator approached. Every human instinct in Jiho's body screamed to run. But he stood still. Kano trusted these creatures, so he would trust them too. The Alpha stopped right in front of Jiho. This close, Jiho could see scars on its scales, old wounds from battles. This was an ancient, powerful creature. Slowly, the Alpha lowered its enormous head. It pressed its snout against Jiho's chest, sniffing, learning his scent. Then it made a sound. That same rumbling purr Kano made. The Alpha was accepting him. "This is incredible," Dr. Siwu whispered. "Jiho, do you understand what is happening? The pack Alpha just acknowledged you. In Vorathan culture, this is unheard of." The other 2 adult Vorathans approached. They sniffed Jiho carefully. One bumped him gently with its head. The other circled around the entire landing party, assessing them. Dr. Siwu slowly pulled out his scanner. Their body language. "Jiho, they are treating you as one of them, because Kano vouched for you. You are pack." The Alpha Vorathan made a decisive sound. The other adults moved, positioning themselves around the landing party. Not threatening, protective. "They are guarding us," Myra said in wonder, "like we are part of their pack now." Over the next hours, Dr. Siwu carefully studied the interaction. Jiho sat among the Vorathans, Kano pressed against his side. The adult creatures were curious about him, gentle despite their power. "This changes everything we thought we knew," Dr. Siwu said, recording everything. "Vorathans are not just pack animals. They have a concept of honorary pack, and they granted it to a human." "Why?" Rin asked. "Why would apex predators accept prey into their pack?" "Because we are not just prey," Jiho said quietly. He stroked Kano's scales. "We are potential family. That is what Kano taught me. Strength is not just about claws and teeth. It is about loyalty, trust, compassion." The Alpha Vorathan made a rumbling sound of agreement. It rested its massive head near Jiho, 6 eyes watching him with what could only be described as fondness. When it was time to return to the ship, the adult Vorathans followed them to the shuttle. The Alpha touched its head to Jiho's one more time. A goodbye. A blessing. Kano made sad sounds, not wanting to leave its kin, but the juvenile stayed with Jiho. "You can stay," Jiho said softly to Kano. "This is your home, your real pack." Kano looked at the adult Vorathans, then back at Jiho. The creature made its choice. It pressed against Jiho and rumbled. The meaning was clear. Jiho was pack. Jiho was home. The shuttle lifted off. Through the window, Jiho watched the adult Vorathans until they disappeared into the forest. Beside him, Kano rested its head on his lap. Back on Dawn's Herald, news of the encounter spread instantly. The footage was transmitted back to Coalition space. Jiho and Kano's story reached every station, every planet. The weak human who could not win a fight had been accepted by the most dangerous predators known to the Coalition. Not through strength. Through heart. Captain Davin called a meeting. "This discovery is significant," he said. "We have found Vorathan territory, and we have made peaceful first contact thanks to the bond between Jiho and Kano." He looked at Jiho. "You have done what diplomats and warriors could not. You have shown us a new way to connect with other species." Even the Vraxian crew members who doubted Jiho before were quiet now. They had seen the footage. They had watched apex predators bow to a human. Only one person was still angry. Kalen's friend, a Vraxian named Toll, spoke up. "This proves nothing. The human got lucky. One species accepts him. So what? So what?" Myra said sharply. "He showed us that connection matters more than strength. That empathy is power." She looked at Toll with disappointment. "Something you clearly do not understand." Later, Jiho stood in the observation deck looking at the stars. Hana had sent him a message from the station. His story was inspiring other humans. Applications to the coalition were increasing. People wanted to explore, to connect, to find their own Kano. Kano joined him at the window. The Vorathan had grown in the past months, stronger, faster, but still gentle with Jiho. "We did something important," Jiho said to his companion. "We showed them that humans belong out here, not because we are strong like Vraxians, not because we are fast like Kelhari, but because we see other beings and choose to care." Kano rumbled in agreement. The creature's tail wrapped around Jiho's leg, protective, loving. Dr. Siwu entered the observation deck. "I have been analyzing the data from the planet. The pack dynamics, the way they accepted you," he smiled. "I am writing a paper on it. Cross-species pack bonding, the human factor. I am listing you as co-author, of course." "Me?" Jiho asked, surprised. "Your observations have been invaluable. Besides, this is your story." Dr. Siwu looked at Kano fondly. "Both of your stories." Months later, Dawn's Herald returned to Coalition space. Jiho and Kano were invited to speak at the Academy, to share their experience. Standing in the same training hall where he once failed every physical test, Jiho looked at the new cadets. Humans, Vraxians, Kelhari, and others, all watching him. "I was the weakest one here," Jiho began. "I failed combat. I could not match alien strength. Everyone doubted me." He gestured to Kano beside him. "But I found my strength in a different way. I chose compassion when violence was expected. I chose trust when fear was easier." Kano made a soft sound, resting its head against Jiho's shoulder. "The galaxy is big," Jiho continued. "Full of species we do not understand. Things that scare us. But if we meet them with open hands instead of closed fists, we might find family instead of enemies." In the audience, young cadets listened intently. Some were human, looking at Jiho with hope.